Officers Renner and Rickson carried themselves with unearned confidence, believing their badges placed them above consequences. For years, they wielded authority to intimidate and control, targeting those they perceived as defenseless. Until her. When they stopped a black woman walking her two dogs, they thought they had found another easy target. They didn't know she was a former Navy SEAL. They thought they could overpower her. They were wrong. Amara strolled down the cracked sidewalk as dawn painted the sky in shades of gray and orange. Chaos and Mercy, her two German shepherds, padded silently at her side. This was her favorite time of day, before the rush of commuters and noise. After years in the military, she'd learned to savor these small moments. This suburban life was meant to be a fresh start. She passed a neighbor who gave her a quick glance, his lips tightening into a brief thin smile before he turned away. It was the same look she'd gotten at the grocery store, the bank, a look that said, "What are you doing here?" A patrol car cruised slowly down the opposite side of the street. The driver's gaze lingered longer than necessary. Amara kept moving, her expression calm. She'd learned not to let tension show. Chaos and Mercy seemed more aware, their ears flicking back. Another few blocks passed before she noticed the patrol car again, now parked. Two officers stepped out, one tall and stocky, the other lean and sharp-faced. As she approached, their attention shifted. "Morning," Renner called out. "Nice dogs. What breeds are they?" "German shepherds," Amara replied steadily. "Good guard dogs, I bet." "Just pets," Amara said. "Pretty big for just pets." Mercy stiffened. "They're well-trained." "Military trained?" Renner asked, his tone curious but not innocent. Amara shrugged. "Something like that." Rickson stepped closer. "What kind of training?" His voice had an edge now. "Bet you don't see dogs like these much in these parts." Chaos's ears flattened. Amara felt the shift. Something was off. The way Renner's hand rested on his belt, the way Rickson's gaze never left her dogs. She'd seen this before. People who thought they had the upper hand. "We're just out for a walk. Have a good day." She started to move past them, but Renner straightened, his hand hovering near his holster. Rickson squatted down, whistling sharply. "Nice dog. Come here, boy." Chaos didn't move. His body stiffened, gaze locked onto Rickson. "Don't," Amara warned calmly. "What's the big deal? I'm just saying hello." He pulled out a piece of jerky. "Come on, boy." Chaos growled, lips pulling back. His muscles coiled. "Don't do that," Amara said firmly. Rickson didn't pull back. "It's just a treat." Renner straightened. "Your dog a problem, ma'am? Sounds like he's ready to attack." "He's fine. Just leave him alone." Mercy barked sharply and shifted forward. Both dogs adjusted, muscles coiled. "Better get them under control," Renner said, hand fully on his holster. "Wouldn't want anyone to get hurt." Rickson stood slowly. "If your dog's that aggressive, it's a problem." "They're not aggressive. You're provoking them." "Provoking?" Rickson laughed bitterly. "Folks like you move into neighborhoods like this and think you can just walk around, make your own rules." Chaos barked sharply. Rickson flinched, hand going to his weapon. "Back off," Amara said clearly. "You're scaring them. You need to get these mutts in check. They're not running loose. They're under control. You need to stand down." Renner shook his head mockingly. "If they're so well-trained, why are they growling at us?" "They're responding to you." Chaos growled sharply. Rickson jumped back, hand fully on his gun. "That's it. Control your dogs, or I will." Amara raised a hand. "Wait. Just wait." Rickson reached for his weapon. Chaos surged forward, straining against the leash. A single gunshot cracked through the air. Chaos jerked back, yelping. The bullet missed, but not by much. "Enough," Amara shouted. "Stop right now." Rickson raised his gun again. Renner's hand was on his taser. "Last warning. Get these damn mutts down, or I'll put them both in the ground. Lower your weapon. You don't have to do this. Who the hell do you think you are? You come out here parading your little jungle dogs, thinking you can walk around like you own the place. You don't belong here." I said, "Lower your weapon. You really think you can just bark orders at us? You're outnumbered, sweetheart." The dogs shifted, waiting for her signal. Amara took a slow step forward, hands out, palms visible. "You need to step down. You're out of your league." "Oh, we're out of our league? What? You some kind of wannabe soldier. Don't do this. I'm giving you a chance to walk away." Renner smirked. "She thinks she's giving us a chance. What a joke. Go ahead. Make a move. I dare you." In one fluid motion, Amara moved forward, grabbing Rickson's wrist, and twisting hard, forcing the gun downward. He yelped, finger pulling the trigger involuntarily, but the shot went into the ground. Before he could recover, Amara slammed her elbow into his temple, dropping him. The gun clattered to the sidewalk. Renner raised the taser. "That's it. I warned you." Before he could fire, Chaos surged forward, jaws closing around the taser, yanking it away. Renner stumbled back, reaching for his baton. "Get these damn dogs off me." Renner swung wildly. Mercy darted in, snapping at his hand, forcing him to drop the baton. The dogs moved as a unit, keeping him off balance. Amara grabbed the body cam from Rickson's vest, yanking it free. She glanced up. A neighbor held up a phone, filming. She didn't stick around. Clutching the body cam, she snapped her fingers twice. Chaos and Mercy retreated instantly, falling beside her as she sprinted down the street. Behind her, Renner's angry shouts filled the air. "She's running. Get her." But by the time he regained his footing, Amara and the dogs were gone. Amara moved quickly through dense woods, boots crunching against leaves. The dogs were quiet, ears swiveling. Despite their calm, she noticed the slight limp in Mercy's step and matted fur near Chaos's shoulder. The old cabin came into view, hidden behind pines. It hadn't been lived in for years, but the walls were intact. She pushed the door open, stepping into musty air. Chaos and Mercy followed, movements slower now. She lowered herself to the floor, pulling her first aid kit. As she worked on cleaning Mercy's paw and checking Chaos's shoulder, reality hit harder. She had taken down 2 officers and fled. She knew how it looked. The portable radio crackled. She twisted the dial, catching snippets of chatter. "Suspect is considered armed and dangerous." They were labeling her as a rogue operative, a dangerous veteran who'd snapped. Footage from patrol car body cams is unavailable at this time. The lie thinly veiled. Incident report states that the suspect initiated the attack. They weren't just covering it up, they were twisting it. She was the enemy in their story. Mercy nuzzled her hand. She reached into her bag, pulling out a burner phone. The number she dialed hadn't been called in years. "Hello, it's me, Amara. Gina, I need your help." Her sister's sharp intake of breath was audible. "Amara, what the hell's going on? Your name's all over the news. Listen, I don't have time to explain everything. I need you to find security cam footage from the houses near where it happened. The police are covering it up, and I need proof." "Proof? They're saying you attacked 2 officers. Just do it. I'll explain later. Please, Gina." Long pause. "I'll see what I can do. But this is risky. I know what I'm asking. But you're the only one who can do this." "Okay, I'll call you back when I have something." The line went dead. Amara lowered the phone, leaning back against the wall. The dogs settled beside her. They would only stay here long enough to catch their breath. Detective Lee Darnell sat in her unmarked car, studying the incident report. According to official records, body cam footage was unavailable due to technical failure, but the metadata showed cameras had been recording. The files had been manually deleted after the incident. She'd seen too many cases where inconvenient footage simply vanished. Statements from responding officers were riddled with inconsistencies. She grabbed her notepad, jotting questions, then started the car. She needed to see the scene herself. The neighborhood was quiet when she arrived. She scanned the area, finding the sidewalk where the scuffle supposedly took place. The dried bloodstain was still faintly visible, haphazardly washed away. Nearby, she spotted shattered plastic, remnants of a broken phone case. This wasn't mentioned in the report. She turned attention to nearby houses. A porch light with a security camera above it was clearly intact. According to the report, there was no relevant footage from residences. Seeing the camera, she suspected that wasn't true. Hours later, reviewing everything she'd gathered, removed footage, missing evidence, vague language, painted a picture of cover-up. Amara Briggs might not be the out-of-control rogue veteran they were making her out to be. She pulled up secure email, drafting a message to access archival footage from traffic cameras. If officers wiped local feeds, they might have missed city-owned cameras on the main road. Amara was dangerous, she didn't doubt that. But dangerous didn't always mean guilty. Amara made her way to Curtis Tech, Harlan's workshop, an old storage facility converted into a private armory. He'd been her go-to-gear expert in her SEAL days. Curtis looked up as Amara entered, dogs at her side. "You're making my shop look bad, Briggs. What the hell happened?" "Long story. I need a favor." He eyed her carefully, taking in faint scratches on her hands. You don't ask for favors unless it's serious. It is. What do you need? Amara laid out her request: replacement comms equipment, upgraded harnesses for the dogs, portable surveillance scanner. Curtis didn't ask why. He simply nodded and started gathering what she needed. Back in her apartment, Gina stared at her computer screen. She'd spent 2 hours pulling security cam footage from nearby houses. The files weren't easy to get, but she knew her way around digital locks. When she finally played the clips, her stomach twisted. The dogs weren't aggressive at first. Footage showed Chaos and Mercy standing alert but still, reacting only after one officer leaned in close, making a sudden sharp movement. Gina watched Amara try to de-escalate. The officers stepped toward her, dogs growing defensive. Initial aggression hadn't come from the dogs. It came from the officers. She clicked on one more folder Amara had sent, the body cam footage taken from one of the officers. It showed the confrontation in brutal clarity. Audio picked up Amara's calm but firm instructions to back off, followed by dismissive, racially charged remarks. The camera caught Rickson's sudden lunge toward the dogs, and ensuing chaos. Gina's jaw tightened. Raw footage told a different story than official reports. Amara wasn't the instigator. She saved files to an external drive. Amara had given her what she needed, proof something was being covered up. But now Gina realized how deep this mess went and how much danger they both were in. Amara sat in the cabin corner, back against the wall. Chaos and Mercy lay close by, breathing steadily. She'd managed to get them cleaned up and bandaged. The fight with Rickson and Renner replayed in her head. She should have seen it coming. Guilt pressed down. Guilt for the chaos her actions caused, for trouble brought to Gina, for the chance someone innocent might get caught up. But that guilt was accompanied by anger at Renner and Rickson for starting it, at the system protecting them, at the twisted narrative they'd spun. Beneath all that, survival instincts churned, chaos stirred, letting out a low, contented sigh. Mercy shifted closer, nudging her knee gently. Simple presence of the dogs pulled her back to the present. They didn't judge. They were here, ready to move, fight, protect. Her burner phone buzzed. She checked the encrypted message. The sender wasn't recognized, but the signature was unmistakable. Lee Darnell. The message was brief, carefully worded. I can help you. Let me prove you're not the threat they're making you out to be. Amara stared at the message. She didn't know if she could trust Darnell, but something in the wording gave her pause. No condescension, no assumption of guilt. Darnell wanted the truth. Miles away, Renner leaned back in his office chair, eyes fixed on the monitor. Footage from Gina's external drive played. It wasn't supposed to exist. He'd wiped all evidence. But there it was, clear shots of Rickson provoking the dogs, Amara trying to de-escalate, Chaos and Mercy acting defensively rather than aggressively. She's smarter than I thought, he muttered. Gina had managed to find and piece together fragments he'd assumed were gone. He'd traced the IP address where files were backed up, straight to Gina's apartment. He dialed a number, tone cold. We've got a lead. I know where her sister is. Let's pay her a visit. Gina's apartment was eerily quiet when Amara dialed that afternoon. The line wasn't dead. Instead, she heard faint muffled sounds, low static, scrape of something metallic, voices in the background. Amara quickly pulled up location tracking software Gina had installed. The signal came into focus, a point flashing on the map at the edge of town. An old industrial site, sprawling warehouses and factories abandoned for years. Amara didn't waste time. She clipped the phone to her belt, checked Chaos and Mercy's harnesses, and shouldered her bag. Let's go. They set off on foot, cutting through wooded back trails. Amara kept her pace brisk, moving swiftly but silently. The closer she got to the industrial site, the more focused her mind became. She knew the layout well from long ago training exercises. As she neared the site, faint sound of engines idling reached her ears. She slowed, signaling the dogs to stay low. From her position, she could see vehicles parked near a main loading dock, 2 unmarked sedans, and a patrol car. Renner's people. She scanned the area. No uniforms visible outside, but she knew better than to assume the place was empty. They'd be inside, waiting. Goal wasn't just to rescue Gina. It was to get in and out before anyone realized what happened. Amara pulled back in a tree cover, crouching low. She slipped bolt cutters from her bag and snipped through remaining strands of chain link. Metal parted with a soft creak. and she pushed it aside to slide through. Dogs followed, low to the ground, silent as shadows. Inside the fence, ground was uneven, covered in weeds and scattered debris. Amara moved carefully, footsteps deliberate. Every now and then, a faint clang echoed from deeper inside the warehouse complex. Boots on metal walkways. She found cover behind wooden pallets, taking a moment to steady herself. She pulled up the burner phone's signal tracker. The ping was stronger now. Gina's phone hadn't moved in the past hour. She noted the exact building where signal was coming from. One of the smaller warehouses set back from the main loading dock. Chaos let out a soft, low growl. Amara froze, glancing around the corner. A man in plain clothes stood by the patrol car, talking into a radio. She watched him, weighing options. The longer she stayed out here, the more likely someone would notice. With a quiet hand signal, she directed Chaos and Mercy to follow. They stayed close, movements fluid and precise. She worked her way around the side of the building, keeping to shadows. Amara pressed herself against cold, rusted metal wall, pulse steady, breathing controlled. Chaos and Mercy crouched at her side, eyes locked on her. Inside, faint buzz of a generator mixed with distant murmur of voices. She touched Chaos's head lightly, signaling him to stay put, and crept toward the nearest stack of crates. Beyond them, she could see three men clustered near a makeshift table, dressed in civilian clothes, holsters on their hips, assault rifles leaning against the table. Renner's hired muscle. She crouched lower, moving silently. The nearest man stood with his back to her, flipping through playing cards. Amara slipped behind him, one arm locking around his neck, the other gripping the back of his head. A sharp, controlled twist, and he went limp. She lowered him carefully without a sound. The second man looked up, brow furrowing. "Hey." Weird. Amara surged forward. She grabbed his arm, twisting it behind his back, and slammed his head into the table edge. He crumpled with a muffled grunt. The third man reached for his rifle, but Chaos moved like a shadow. A low growl was the only warning before the dog lunged, jaws clamping onto the man's arm. The mercenary yelped, rifle clattering. Amara stepped in, elbow connecting with the side of his head. He went down. "Good," she whispered, giving Chaos a quick pat. She scanned the room. No movement. 3 sentries down, and she still had element of surprise. She signaled to Mercy, who slipped ahead. The dog stopped at the edge of barrels, body tense. Amara followed, peeking around the corner. 2 more men stood by a small alcove, attention focused on a portable monitor showing security feeds. She needed to disable their surveillance. She pulled out a small, modified flashbang Curtis had given her. She lobbed it toward the alcove, ducking back as light flared. Both men stumbled, cursing, hands flying to their eyes. Amara moved quickly, delivering a sharp kick to the first man's knee. The second man swung blindly, but she caught his wrist, twisted it, and drove her fist into his jaw. He collapsed. She quickly turned to the monitor, yanking cords free and pocketing the drive attached. Cameras were down now, giving her more freedom to move. She motioned to the dogs. They followed as she slipped into a narrow hallway leading toward the office. Voices echoed down the hall, someone yelling, followed by heavy thud of boots. 2 mercenaries rounded the corner ahead, weapons drawn. They spotted her instantly. "There she is," one shouted, raising his rifle. Amara dove behind metal shelves as bullets tore through the space. Chaos and Mercy split to either side. She reached for her sidearm, peeking out long enough to fire a single controlled shot. The first mercenary dropped, clutching his leg. The second mercenary swung his weapon toward her, but Mercy sprang from shadows, knocking him off balance. He fell backward, rifle clattering out of reach. Amara closed the distance in seconds, grabbing the man by the collar and slamming him into the wall. His head hit with a sickening thud, and he slid down unconscious. She crouched low, pulling both dogs close as she listened. Gunfire would have alerted the rest. She had to move fast. The final section of the warehouse was larger, high ceiling, dim overhead lights. She could see a group of men near the far end, attention focused on a closed office door. She recognized Gina's phone on a table nearby. She positioned herself behind crates, signaling to Chaos and Mercy. They knew what to do. Chaos moved left, circling around. Mercy stayed low, waiting. "Hey," she shouted, voice ringing through the warehouse. Guards turned, weapons snapping up. It's her, one yelled, opening fire. Amara ducked back, bullets slamming into crates. She returned fire, aiming carefully, taking down one guard before ducking behind cover again. Chaos struck from the side, a blur of movement that took down another man. Mercy followed, teeth sinking into a guard's arm, disarming him as Amara moved in. The fight was chaotic, blur of gunfire, snarling dogs, sharp, calculated strikes. Amara moved with precision, each step deliberate, each shot controlled. Chaos and Mercy were her extensions, cutting through guards like a well-rehearsed team. When the last guard fell, the room went quiet. Amara stood still, catching her breath. Chaos and Mercy returned to her side, tongues lolling, eyes alert. She moved quickly to the office door, pressing her ear against it. She could hear Gina's muffled voice. Without hesitation, she stepped back and delivered a sharp kick. The lock gave way, and the door flew open. Amara stormed through the office door, weapon ready. Gina was tied to a chair, head down, wrists bound. A man stood over her, knife in hand. His head snapped up, and without hesitation, he lunged. She stepped back, avoiding the knife's arc. Before he could recover, she grabbed his wrist, twisting until the blade clattered. He swung his free fist, but she ducked low and drove her knee into his side. He grunted, stumbled, reaching for his waistband. She surged forward, slamming her shoulder into his chest. The impact knocked over papers and a cheap radio, but he was still moving. He grabbed her arm, pulling her off balance. They slammed into the wall. Impact made Amara see stars, but her training took over. She drove her elbow into his ribs, heard the crack of bone, followed with a sharp jab to his throat that he gasped, clutching his neck, but still didn't drop. He grabbed for her again. She brought her boot down hard on his knee, and he collapsed, groaning. Chaos moved first. The big German shepherd leaped at the man, jaws snapping onto his forearm. The man screamed, flailing, trying to dislodge the dog, but Chaos held firm, growled deep and primal. The man swung wildly at Chaos's head with his other hand, but Mercy came in from the side, teeth sinking into his calf. He buckled, falling to the floor. Amara crouched beside Gina, using her blade to cut through bindings. "You okay?" "Yeah, just get me out of here." The man was still struggling. "Call them off. They'll kill me." Amara turned to him, expression cold. "Should have thought about that before you tried to knife me." Chaos growled deeper, jaws tightening. The man thrashed, trying to roll away. "I'll tell you anything. It's Renner," he spat. "He wanted her shut up. That's all I know." Amara studied him. He was trembling, starting to go limp. She raised her hand, giving Chaos a subtle signal. Slowly, the dog released his grip, stepping back. Mercy followed, sitting beside Chaos, eyes still locked on him. "You tell Renner I'm coming," Amara said quietly, "and he won't see me coming." She turned to Gina, supporting her weight as they made their way out. Behind her, Chaos and Mercy followed, ears pricked, ready for whatever came next. Amara helped Gina to a safer spot, setting her down on an overturned crate. Gina winced, rubbing her wrists, eyes scanning Amara's face. "You okay?" Amara asked. Gina nodded. "I've been better, but I've also been worse. We don't have much time. What did you find?" "After you first told me about what happened, I started looking into the officers involved. But Renner was different. His credentials, transfer paperwork, date of hire, it all seemed off." "What do you mean off?" "His file reads like someone copied it out of a training manual. Nothing organic. Too clean. So I started pulling at threads, cross-referencing dates. That's when I found redacted files. They were buried deep, but they were there. Renner wasn't a career cop. He was CIA. Amara's eyes narrowed. CIA? You're sure? Gina nodded. He wasn't just some agent. He was attached to a black ops unit, off the books, running operations that weren't exactly sanctioned. Whatever he was involved in went bad. His whole unit was burned. Renner got the axe and ended up here. How does that connect to me? Gina hesitated. That last mission you were on overseas, right before you left the military. I think that mission was tied to him. You were part of the team that exposed whatever he was doing. The intel you helped recover lined up with operations he was running. You blew the lid off something that got him burned. He lost everything. Amara's jaw clenched. She stared past Gina, mind racing back to those chaotic days. Now she felt pieces falling into place. You're telling me I'm the reason he was discharged? Not directly. But your team uncovered his operation, and it brought everything crashing down. He must have blamed you. Now he's using this so-called protocol as an excuse for revenge. So this was never about a traffic stop. No, this is personal. It's payback. Amara pushed herself to her feet, pacing. She'd been caught in someone else's vendetta, dragged into a fight she hadn't even known existed. What else did you find? I got everything I could. Downloaded backup copies of all the footage, documents, even some original mission files. It's not everything, but it's enough to prove what he's done. And the footage, does it show the truth? Gina nodded. It shows the dogs weren't aggressive. Shows the officers escalating. If we can get it to someone who can use it, we can blow this whole thing open. We'll take it to Darnell. She's been reaching out for a reason. If she's the real deal, she'll know what to do. You have to be careful. Renner's got people everywhere. I'm counting on it. Amara sat across from Detective Darnell at a small table inside the dimly lit safe house. Chaos and Mercy lay nearby, eyes steady. Darnell leaned back. You already know who he really is. But let me fill in the gaps. She flipped open a slim file, tapping a grainy photo. Renner started off as a paramilitary operative. He was good, maybe too good. After a few years, he started cutting corners, taking on jobs outside the lines. Arms deals, covert fund transfers, nothing on paper. But everyone knew. I've already heard this part, Amara said quietly. Gina told me we exposed him without knowing. Darnell nodded. What she might not have mentioned is how fast things fell apart. Once your team's intel came back, they didn't just burn him, they torched his entire network. They used your report to pull the rug out. By the time he realized what was happening, it was too late. His team scattered. Accounts frozen. Then, she snapped her fingers. He was out. No hearing, no formal reprimand. Just a dishonorable discharge and a swift exit. I don't think he ever forgave the agency. And he sure as hell didn't forgive the people who made it possible, your team. He probably never learned your names until years later. But once he did, you became a loose end. Typical, Amara muttered. It was a smart move. By the time he resurfaced, he'd created a squeaky clean record, got hired in a department that wouldn't ask questions, and settled in. But all along he was just biding his time. Until now. Exactly. He's got connections inside helping him cover his tracks. People who owe him favors. They see him as this stand-up officer, and they don't realize he's playing them. You're saying the reason this feels personal is because it is. He's not just cleaning up old business. He's settling a score.